You know, why? Why do you see animals which, subspecies of baboon? You're seeing 1,500 of them. Why? Because a lion pride's not going to go in there, and even if they could kill one, I mean, but it's not really lion prides that are a threat to those baboon societies. It's men, you know, men or human groups, you know, hunting, and they could only start to hunt other big animals because they got a surplus of energy. When primates that went into the grasslands, at first they were sort of scavenging, breaking open bones with stone tools to get at the carcasses that other more powerful predators, you know, had left, you know, to get the marrow. That gave them a boost, and then they were able to, in the meantime, when they weren't doing that, when they could move into forest areas and out forest areas, perhaps still to get fruit or something like that, or maybe even the sort of more developed hominids. Maybe they even had a developed trade. You know, we'll give you clan. You see, maybe even Australopithecines even. Maybe they traded meat for fruit from other groups or something like that. I doubt that is really what happened, but it's certainly by the time of Neanderthals, you've got complex trade networks, you know, where people are coalescing on seafronts and having large meals and everything else with seafood and prey that they've caught as well. But there's something else going on here, because they couldn't be doing all those things without a food surplus, without a store of energy, and just picking up a few grass seeds here and there and finding water here and there, sort of mapping it out the territory in the grassland, which, with all these kind of more dynamic or seemingly more powerful animals, you know, like elephants and things like that, each with their own society, and all of those different societies interacting, is going to produce a human society, which is where intelligence and sociability, which is a form of communication between individuals, to give sort of a collective idea of the world rather than a collective consciousness or anything like that, but sort of that from the family group. In modern societies, from the family group you get nations, from nations you get common cultures between nations. You know, you can even see that today with sort of Western culture. I mean, Western culture is, and say Western rationalism, is only a way to interpret the world to solve problems that Western rationalists face. You know, it's not a entire worldview for explaining everything. We can still learn from other cultures. You know, I'm going on to a cultural video there. So I'm going to start to talk about something else, which is very interesting to me. Yet human memes, having spoken about Western rationalism, these ideas that recreate themselves, may have had an effect on the animals around us. You know, obviously, humans might have followed lion parades or things like that. They wouldn't have wanted contact with lion parades. Other animals might have taken the cue from that. You can see that, like in Serengeti, you can see vultures are probably the first things to see a carcass. Now all the other animals descend on. They're all looking for clues and tells from other animals. And maybe humans co-opted some of those other animals. And the most common one that everybody knows about is the one that when you walk in the door is the wolf that looks at you for food from a tin, and then looks at the TV, and you know is sitting there. It's become a member of the family. Why is that? Why is it that dogs are basically living in symbiosis with humans? You know, is it man that's co-opted dog or wolf, or wolf that's corrupted man. Well, symbiosis is more an equal idea of it, but I think it's more that humans at first corrupted the dog. They use animals as a weapon or a tool, an extension of themselves. This is something that BBC Horizon has covered over the last 30 years. And as I said with the flowering plants idea, that sort of what sparked my interest was another BBC programme. But the conclusions and analysis are mine. It could be that humans, having taken that 1% of wolves or cubs that were amenable to human families, as basically to hunt. They're faster, they can smell better than us, some may be even able to see better than us. Tigers and lions are a bit too powerful to be able to work with in terms of an era before firearms and tranquilizer guns and everything else. I'm talking about early human civilization, yeah? The era between people living in settled community, people living as hunter-gatherers, yeah, to settled communities, right? When you've got bands of people who may have been set upon because they were cast out of their community and they were set on by these sort of upland groups, which perhaps, were sort of those people who were driven up by the larger, more settled groups, and they may have become cannibals. There is evidence of that in Europe, in America, in all other places. These sort of disparate sort of bandit groups. And of course, what is necessary is something that is a linked culture between that time. And so the dog becomes one of those links, First it's used for hunting. Then when people start to develop farming, which we're not the only animal to do this. There are actual reports of lions fending off other lion groups to protect vegetarians. Why? Is it because the lions have suddenly gone herbivores? Is it because the lions have suddenly gone vegetarian, or the lion's crazy? No, maybe it is that lions are developing, a feline idea of sort of farming. I don't know. It might be a step too far. Check the article out in National Geographic. But so the wolf then becomes from hunter, accompanying man on his trips and eventually being taken in by man, to the dog that herds the sheep and cattle and protects the cattle from wolves that have not moved into human society. Now the dog is on its own. It is within a pack that it's familiar with. Other dogs are not in that pack. They are in the pack of the next door neighbour or whatever, in that sort of community. And the interaction in terms of genetics between wolves and dogs may have been quite common, but the actual human mean has been stamped on to the psychology of the wolf. So there may be very little genetic difference. Was perhaps Romulus and Remus cast out as infants in sort of this in sort of the Roman tradition that maybe they picked up from the Doric and Spartan people, from Greece of exposing unwanted children.